everybody? This is Michael once again in the wee hours of the night with your daily trivia question. And I hope everybody's week is going well. We survived Monday. We're off and running. It's supposed to creep up to 70 degrees by the end of the week. I will believe it when I see it. Anywho, the answer to the previous trivia question was, of course, good old coffee. So, beginning on November 29th in 1942, coffee became a rationed item. This was a big deal because coffee consumption in this country in the 1940s was astronomical. Everybody was drinking coffee at this point in time when we got involved in the war. The whole idea of rationing by 1942, remember this is almost like almost a year, I think, into the war, was nothing new as the war was well underway. We were forced into it. So these are items like rubber, gasoline, cheese, clothing, a whole variety of goods. Coffee became no exception, fell right under the category. Under rationing conditions, families were allowed 1 pound of coffee every 5 weeks, or they were simply asked to make their coffee, last longer, to do more with less. The rationing of coffee, an interesting fact, wasn't due to a lack of product. In fact, coffee was readily available internationally, everywhere from South America, but the issue there was due to the lack of means to ship large quantities of it. And it was considered, it fell as far as the government was concerned, it fell under the category of an unnecessary luxury in wartime. So that's why it eventually had to be rationed. In the wake of coffee rationing, a product named Postum, which I found was interesting, was an instant drink mix made of roasted grains and molasses. This, to me, that sounds gross to me. But anywho, it became popular as a substitute for caffeine fix. That's what we do. If you're going to ration coffee, we'll go find something else to kind of get our fix. And even acorns were crushed and used to create like a Java-like drink. It's interesting how we compensate in that regard. Coffee was rationed for less than a year and was finally released from the list in July of 1943. So we didn't have to suffer for too long. We didn't have to go without our coffee and have like the coffee shakes and coffee headaches and everything. Altogether, about 1/3 of all food commonly consumed by civilians would end up on a ration list at one time or another during World War II. Now think about that. Like open up your refrigerator, for instance, easy for me to say, and think about 1/3 of all or your cupboards and so forth. Think about 1/3 of all the food that we would commonly consume, and think about how that would have to be rationed during the course of a year during troubling times. An interesting thing I always tell people, and I have done this before many times, find a senior for like a history project, if you're in high school, or even if you're working on a graduate paper and so forth, and you need a good resource, find a senior, sit down and interview them, prepare a list of questions, ask who lived through this period and who had to ration items, who lived in a household that had to ration items, and let them share their wisdom with you. It's interesting just to kind of pick up on some of the really cool history that they have to share with you. So I always encourage people to do something like that with people who have lived through this kind of a period. So go get yourself a large grande at Starbucks and enjoy a hot cup of coffee. And of course, that brings us to today's trivia question. To say goodbye to November and hello to December on this day in 1965, this 32-year-old lawyer and future politician publishes a book called Unsafe at Any Speed, which would prompt lawmakers to pass the seatbelt laws in 49 states and help consumers band together to demand safer and better laws. He ran for president 4 times. That's the only clue I'm going to give you. There's a picture of him right there. Go green. Have a good Tuesday, folks. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.